if you've been feeling ashamed or guilty about something that you did, I'm going to show you a deeper understanding and strategy of how to actually clear shame and guilt. Now, let's talk about, first of all, what the experience of shame and guilt might be like. You might feel lower energy. You might feel sad about something. But the way that you experience your life and as you go through your day, you're going to have a constricted energy. And if you're not engaged in your transformation, you might start looking for ways to get energy. Maybe you start eating more food as a way to get energy. Or you start speaking with a friend as a way to maybe kind of work through whatever it is that you're feeling. But if you have a transformational strategy, a system, a method, then, well, not only if you have one, but if you choose to use it, because those are two very different things as well. You can have one and know one, but you also have to choose to pick it up, which can be difficult for a lot of reasons when people are starting out. But the point here is that if you have a modality and you're willing to use it, then instead of going external in order to understand the shame, clear the shame, at some point you're going to make it a priority to actually go into what it is that you're feeling. And so in feeling guilty or ashamed about something, the only reason why you might be feeling that is because of how you're viewing yourself for what you did. Even if someone else is projecting onto you and causing you to feel shame and guilt, in reality, you wouldn't even feel that if you did not resonate with how they're viewing it. In other words, you must be thinking about it in a similar way in order for that to land. In order for it to land if it's coming from someone else. So the key here in understanding shame and guilt is understanding that it's coming from judgment inside of you. So what that means is that when you're feeling guilty and you're feeling ashamed, that there's an inner critic or an inner judger going on, and what you're feeling in that moment is you're on the receiving end of that judgment. And so sure, maybe you did do something wrong. Maybe you did make a mistake. But the feeling of guilt and the feeling of shame is coming from the judgment that's being projected on the mistake. In other words, being extra hard on yourself in your mind. You know you're doing that if you're feeling guilt and you're feeling shame. And so this is the deeper understanding that I want to impart with you here today, is that if you're feeling shame and you're feeling guilt, then you might be unconsciously aware, meaning unaware, unconsciously and unaware of your own inner judger, your own inner critic. So the strategy, the solution here, it's two steps. And I don't have the time to go through in detail these steps, but I will give you enough so that you can start to work with this. And so step 2 is the outcome of how you actually clear this. And the outcome, the strategy, has to do with forgiveness. It's forgiveness. You're feeling shamed, you're feeling guilty. You got to be able to recognize, okay, well, there's a part of you that's judging you. And so as a way to clear that shame and that guilt, it's forgiveness and transforming that judger into something a little bit different. And to give you a hint, because it's going to be different for everyone, it might actually resonate for you to look at this as a feminine energy, as something that's compassionate, something that's nurturing, something that's, allowing, right? That's what we want to start taking more, we want to start taking that up in our energy field. We want to start actually utilizing that energy and coming from that energy when it comes to us feeling ashamed or guilty about something versus being a judger. And so, but before you can get to the feminine aspect, we need to look at forgiveness. And so that's the outcome, right? Well, technically the outcome would be more so from a feminine aspect. So kind of working backwards here. I know this is a tad confusing, but stay with me. So working from the ultimate outside outcome and in, feminine aspect, compassion, love, understanding. Before that, forgiveness. And before that has to do with actually connecting to the judger. In other words, you have to understand why you're judging yourself. You have to understand, where's the judgment really coming from? Like, why are you being so hard on yourself? If you can understand that, then you can move into forgiveness. If you cannot understand that, then you're going to be stuck in the shame and in the guilt. So usually how this works is you're feeling shame, you're feeling guilt, and that's where it stops. People don't recognize that, okay, you're feeling ashamed and you're feeling guilty because there's an inner judger. In order to clear the shame and guilt, connect to the inner judger. Connect that to forgiveness. And eventually to your own healthy, divine, inner feminine about the entire thing. And that is the first step in healing yourself. And number 2, it's the first step in actually understanding how you cannot make the same mistake that you feel guilty and ashamed about. So whatever it is that you're feeling guilty for, whatever it is that you're feeling ashamed for doing, in order to not make that mistake, it first requires you to go through these layers that I'm sharing with you here. It requires that you go through these layers and stop judging yourself for the mistake. Otherwise, what happens? Do you know? Yes, you repeat the same mistake again, but why? Well, the reason why is because the guilt and the shame have not been cleared. The guilt and the shame have not been healed. Which means, unless you heal that, by law, it must show itself because it's destined to be healed. And so eventually, you start to create from that place again. Hence, the pattern repeats. The mistake repeats until you learn how to love yourself, how to forgive yourself, how to accept yourself, how to reconnect with the divine feminine that you may have not gotten as a result of making a mistake when you were growing up. So big video here. Lots to unpack. If you have any questions, please schedule a time to book with me so that we can deepen that understanding. And I can show you with specificity how this actually goes when it comes to your own transformational process and actually working through these feelings so that you can go from, let's say, shame, guilt. And this is the emotional roller coaster here to close this out. Shame, guilt, when you're feeling that, here's how this goes. Eventually, you're going to direct and work with this energy so that now you're going from there to now you're going to start feeling the judgment. You're going to start actually becoming the judger and understanding where this is really coming from. And then you're going to heal that. You're going to move that into some type of compassion or forgiveness, more than likely forgiveness. It's going to be unique for everybody, but it's going to be forgiveness. And then from there, that's when the healing occurs. That's when you move into the next layer of your own true self, with that perfect balance of divine masculine and divine feminine. So, with that being said, anytime you feel guilt, anytime you feel shame, this is one of the ways that you can work through this energy. And I'm giving you a roadmap of what this ultimately looks like. So, if you have that new understanding, how to get from point A to point B and where you're actually really to be going with this, hopefully that helps you in terms of actually navigating these feelings, should you have a modality in order to do that. So if you need a modality, if you'd like deeper understanding, or you'd like to work with me personally, just click the link down below in the description, and we can find a time to chat. Have a wonderful night, everyone, and be easy on yourselves.